What's up, everybody? Sorry I'm late. Long story, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I should not have scheduled it for 9:30 because I should have known I couldn't make it by 9:30. But anyway, you live and you learn. I am right now in Norfolk, Virginia. Just had dinner with a buddy, actually a cousin of mine that I grew up with. We literally grew up together. He was the best man at my wedding, and I haven't seen him in years. He lives in the area. I'm in town for work. We got together to have dinner, and the meeting and the dinner just went longer than we planned. But since we never see each other, I wanted to take advantage of it. I apologize for keeping you guys waiting. It was rude of me to do that. I should have said it for a later time, but I really appreciate the patience that you guys showed me and the grace that you showed me. I'm in the process of walking back to my hotel, which is just right down the street. And once I get there, we're going to talk some football and some realignment. I promise. See who all's in the comments. I got Rest in Peace PAC-12. I got Peanut Butter Hero, Nick M, Tom Dean. What's up, Tom? West Virginia Guy 56, Connor Cole. Zach Johnson. What's up, Zachary? Connor Cole, Peanut Butter Hero. I appreciate you. Alan Aaron. Appreciate you. Steve Davis. I appreciate all y'all. Yeah, I totally apologize. Had no intentions of making y'all wait like that, but sometimes life happens, It is what it is. Yeah, I haven't. You guys have probably noticed I have not. What's up, Jeff? Y'all have probably noticed I have not put out a video in a few days. I do have one in the queue for tomorrow, a West Virginia related video. What's up, Joey? Stormy West Texas. Laura, what's going on in West Texas? I haven't keep up with the news today. But y'all probably noticed I haven't done a video in a few days. Really busy weekend. I know y'all didn't tune in for all this garbage, but hey, you know what? It's a live stream. You don't know what you're going to get, right? Saturday, I had a tournament, basketball. I coach a girls basketball team. We had an AAU tournament all day, which we won, by the way. Brought home our second straight championship. Then, Sunday, my wife and I went with a couple of friends, our concert buddies, went to Charlotte, North Carolina for a Godsmack concert. So we had a great time, really good time, great show. I took yesterday off work. The wife and I stopped by to see some family on the way home and just spent the day traveling basically back home. And obviously we slept in, went to eat, traveled back home. And today that was yesterday. Today I had to travel about 6 hours away to Norfolk for 2 days of meetings for work tomorrow and Thursday. So very busy week for me. So not sure how many videos I'll get out this week. That's why I wanted to try to do this live tonight. Walking into the hotel. You guys get to get a little glimpse into what life can be like for me at times. Yeah, sorry about the storms, Laura. Hope you stay safe. Hope it's nothing too serious. Just thunderstorms, maybe. 68 people in there. Everybody, please hit the like button. I'm almost back to my room. When I get back to my room, baby, we're going to dig into some college realignment talk. I'm energized now. Got to talk to my cousin. Had me a margarita. I am ready to go. And the elevator smells like weed. Somebody's been smoking weed in the elevator, I believe. Holy cow. Woo. Third floor, here we come, baby. Walk into my room. Uh-oh. Key is unlocked. What a night. What a night. Life throws you lemons. You got to make lemonade out of it. So I thought, hey, why not do a walking, talking type deal here? Now I got to get logged in, or not logged in, but get my computer pulled up. And we will talk realignment. Yeah, I had no clue our dinner would take that long. But you know what? I spent a big portion of my childhood with this guy. Like I said, he was the best man at my wedding. So, and we literally haven't seen each other in several years. So I wanted to take advantage of that. I'm sure y'all understand. It wasn't me, Joey. Actually, I don't know that anybody really smoked it in there other than I think somebody may have just smelled like weed and was in the elevator, probably. I'm back, baby. And my mic's not working. There it is. Now it's working. But anyway, all right. Now, what I want to talk about, guys, was this article. The first thing I want to touch on, the Oklahoman article. I'm sure you guys have seen it by now. I'm sure it's all over Twitter by now. That Barry Trimble wrote in the Oklahoman, and I'm going to read it to you right now. It says, this is the headline now. Barry Trimble from the Oklahoman wrote today, is Colorado close to leaving Pac-12 for Big 12? Signs say yes. Colorado joined the Big 7 Conference in 1948 and stayed through its various iterations for 62 years. Could the Buffaloes be coming back? Fix my camera here. You guys got to be able to see my ugly mug. There we go. A Big 12 source told me last week that Colorado is ready to commit to joining the Big 12, quote, soon. I thought it was interesting, but not necessarily a revelation. Lots of talk in this realignment crazed era of college sports, most of it not written on tablets descending from Mount Sinai. But the Colorado comment has a lot more juice after the events this week. Washington State President Kirk Schultz on Monday issued a variety of spending freezes in the wake of the Pac-12's financial crisis, which I'm going to talk about separately in a minute. The New York Post reported that ESPN and the Pac-12 are having, quote, no substantive talks about extending the league's television contract, which expires in summer 2024. Plus, CBS reported a couple of weeks ago that Big 12 officials were told by ESPN that the Big 12 would be one of 3 leagues, along with the SEC and ACC, that ESPN would air in terms of a Tier 1 level, all of which cast further gloom on the Pac-12's financial future. Now, what I thought was very intriguing is this. There's a person on Twitter that most of you probably know called Genetics56. It's the person that have a fish face for a profile pic. I think it's a female. At least that's what I've been told. Or not I've been told, but that's what I've heard through others on Twitter and other YouTubers and things like that. But nonetheless, that doesn't really matter whether it's male or female. But they're a Big Ten person, and they claim to have connections in the Big Ten, and they have really been one of the people pounding the table saying, you know, these Big 12 people don't know what they're talking about. Pac-12 schools don't want to leave. They've been calling us 12 and on or whatever. I don't know, all that garbage. But Genetics 56 today on their Twitter account, listen to this. This is funny. Let me pull it up here real quick. But Genetics 56 basically agreed with it. It says this. Wait a minute.
Well, gosh, man, they've tweeted that a lot today. I got to find the one I'm talking about. Okay, 4 hours ago, Genetics 56 put this: Colorado could be announcing their return to the Big 12 next week. If they do, the best of luck to them. It will be interesting to see what the chain reaction would be for the rest of the Pac-12 schools. ACC schools leave and the rest of the Pac-12 merges with the ACC, or more schools join the Big 12 and the rest merge. Do Oregon and Washington finally get their invite? So apparently this person does think now that Colorado is joining the Big 12 in 2 weeks. So very interesting stuff there. And, you heard in that. And by the way, guys, please hit the like button if you haven't yet before I get on to the next piece of the story, or the next story, I should say, the next portion of the live stream, next chapter, and whatever you want to call it. My camera's still not right. And now you can see me. I'm glowing. But anyway. What's up, Jeff Natividad? Outlaw of College Football's in the house. Channel member. He says, seems Big Ten former commissioner snaky Kevin Warren left some loose ends that could screw the Big Ten out of millions per team. Seems that COVID stunt left the Big Ten owing Fox for many missed games. That is correct. Big Ten's having their own issues, but I think the Big Ten's issues are probably pretty easily fixable, whereas the ones for the Pac-12 could potentially implode the conference. Potentially. I'm not saying I'm not predicting that to happen, but it could. I think they'll just backfill some group of 5 teams and keep moving. Honestly. Patron shots for all on Couz. See if we got any other channel members on that'll have comments. If you guys want to make sure your comment gets read, you can hit the $sign below that says say something. Put your comment in there. It'll highlight it for me, so I'll be sure to see it. Outlaw of College Football says, shave your beard. I dare you. I did. Ha ha. I've tried that a couple times. The wife does not like it when I shave my beard, but I guess I'm at a point in my marriage I shouldn't give a crap, right? 21 years in, man. Just celebrated my anniversary last week, actually. Kelby Johns is in the house. Curtis. Yes, Curtis, financial issues. That's another thing I wanted to talk about, actually. Kirk Schultz. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up here if I can find it on what Kirk Schultz had to say on Twitter or on the podcast that he did, or I guess it was an interview, not really a podcast. Oh, now my internet ain't wanting to work in this stupid hotel room. It's been going in and out all night for some stupid reason. The internet just goes out on you, like with no warning. Vernon says saw his show today. Oh, Josh Neighbors, yeah. Josh is back. He's on 365 Sports. Couldn't have landed with a better group of guys, or group of people, I should say. Glad to see Josh with the 365 gang. Really am. One of my 365 was probably my favorite show on YouTube. Sorry, Outlaw. Outlaw knows I like his show too. Oh, look at here. You got Utah Pig Bus calling out Genetics 56 for the Colorado comment. So Utah Pig Bus still doesn't want to believe it, even though there's now Big Ten people even saying it. Unbelievable, man. Like we're still making this crap up. All right, here we go. Here's the statement from, I guess it was an internal email that Washington State University president sent to the basically the employees, I guess. Yeah, you can jump on, Outlaw, if you want. Here, let me. I'll shoot you the link here in just a second. But Washington State sent to, I guess, the employees at Washington State, but it says, WSU has made steady progress toward balancing the athletics budget the past several years. Unfortunately, though, we are facing tremendous headwinds that will make closing out fiscal year 2023 more challenging than expected. As has already been widely reported, This to me, this is the key statement in this entire thing. As has already been widely reported, each Pac-12 university will see a significant decrease in revenue distribution. This decrease As has already been widely reported, each Pac-12 university will see a significant decrease in revenue distribution. This decrease is a result of overpayments from one of the conference media partners that must be resolved. Relocation of the Pac-12 headquarters out of San Francisco exceeded budget projections as well. Additionally, Washington State University projects that Cougar Athletics exceeded its expenditures for the year due to inadequate documentation of revenues and expenses. And it goes on to say more, but I wanted to focus right now on the comment about the Pac-12 is going to take a significant bump in media payouts. I think that's critical here because right now, if you look at just their media distribution alone, they're getting about $20 million a team per year. Ballpark, I'm ballparking that number. It's a little over 20, but if you look at just their TV deal, it's over a little over 20 million. And they're saying each Pac-12 university will see a significant decrease in that number. So what's that tell you? And if that Comcast payout is only about $4 million a year per team, or not even per year, $4 million per team, what's their payout can't be very much. Larry, 50 million divided by 10, 12 teams is what? $4 million? That's going to cause them a significant amount of money. You're going to see a decrease in revenue. I think it goes deeper than that, my man. Then you add in the fact that Colorado is now looking at the Pac-12, which is now being reported even by people that haven't been accused of being Big 12 homers. Vernon Shelter Witter, another channel member, says the PAC didn't help the PAC. They did not. And I saw a super chat here I need to get to. Tom Dean, man, I really appreciate the support. He says, Washington and Oregon are gone. Big 10 if they get an invite, or Big 12 if they don't get a Big 10. So why would anyone else stay in the PAC? Tom, thanks again for the super chat. If you guys want to make sure your chat gets read, because it's not possible for me to get to everybody's chat. If you want to make sure I see your chat, feel free to drop a donation where it says say something in the chat box there and type your comment, and I'll be sure to see it and read it on the air. So, Tom, thank you, man. But, yeah, Washington and Oregon, I think we'll end up in the Big 10 eventually. I'm just not sure when. This could definitely get the ball rolling more in that direction, especially if Colorado leaves. That could be start a domino effect potentially. Vernon Shelter says nobody on the left coast wants to believe reality. What's up, Gamecock Chuck? Vernon says the Arizonas and Colorado are gone, baby, gone. Vernon is another channel member there. Vernon, I really appreciate your continued support, my friend. But yeah, it's so you got Washington State in financial trouble, saying the Pac-12 is going to take a huge hit on revenue. You've got Colorado now being reported by someone else. First, it was only person that people I heard it from so far were 365 Sports, and the one thing Jason Shear put up on a message board several weeks ago. That was it. Now you've got Barry Tremble at the Oklahoman, a very, very well-respected reporter in the college football landscape. Vernon, $9 million, that is bad as the Mountain West Conference. Connor Cole says that is just a rumor. Could be more, could be less, but every channel has reported about that. Yep. The other thing I want to talk about is Dave Heek, who's the athletic director at Arizona. Sorry guys, I'm inviting Outlaw College Football to join me on here if he wants to. You guys need to go check his channel out if you haven't yet. But Dave Heek was on a podcast called PHNX Sports, which stands for Phoenix Sports. They cover the Arizona Wildcats. You can check it out on YouTube. But he basically said, and Tony Altimore put out that, yeah, he said that they're loyal to the PAC. They're staying with the PAC. They're united. And he did say that. But what Tony failed to put on Twitter and failed to mention is that after he said that, if you listen to the whole interview, he goes on to say, but we have prepared for every possible scenario. We've prepared for a worst case scenario. We've prepared for a, middle of the road scenario. And we have prepared for what we hope happens, which is we stay in the Pac-12. It's no secret. These teams don't want to leave the conference. But what people like Tony, and Tony and I have a mutual respect for each other, but the one thing that the people like Tony and others don't realize and are failing to separate, it's not a matter of want. It's a matter of necessity, or it could end up being a matter of necessity. If they're not going to be relevant anymore in the college athletics landscape, they may not have a choice but to get out of the Pac-12. That's the key. It's not that they want to. We know they don't want to, but they might have to, or at least think they have to stay relevant. That's the problem. So, but the people in Pac-12 country, and I understand they're probably biased just like we are. As Big 12 fans, we're a little biased, or we can be, right? We kind of have to take our Big 12 color glasses off a little bit and try to look at things objectively. The Pac-12 people need to do the same. And they're not looking at this thing through the big picture. It's not a matter of want. It's a matter of potentially need, that they might need to get out of the Pac-12. Vernon says, has the PAC prepared for bankruptcy? I don't know about that, man. I don't think the PAC's going to go bankrupt per se. I just think they are going to be really, 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 they're either going to have to take a deal that's mostly streaming or a deal that's a very low ball number. And I don't know. I don't think you're going to get every school to agree to that. But the other thing I want to talk about, back to Dave Heek's interview, but Dave Heek said, yeah, we are united with the PAC, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He says, we are united with the PAC. We think a deal will get done. We're confident a deal will get done, but we are prepared if it doesn't. That's basically in a nutshell what he said. And, when you read something or listen to something, you need to take the whole context of it, not just pull out one little nugget and use that as your quote. That's what politicians like to do. They like to take one little thing and make that the entire subject of what they're trying to say, when if you read the whole thing, sorry guys, I'm having issues tonight. But anyway, if you read the whole thing, you'll see that, hey, that's not, you got to look at all the context is what I'm trying to say, whether it's an article, whether it's a political statement, whether it's the Bible, whatever you're reading, you've got to read it in context. Context matters, folks. And you pull out one little nugget and make that the point of what you're trying to say without all the context and what's said before that and what's said after that, it changes the entire meaning. Vernon says OSU made significant improvements on its facilities. Absolutely. All right, guys, let's see if we can get. I did invite Outlaw College Football. I'm not sure if he'll be able to hop on or not. Hopefully he can. Like I said, there's no way for me to get to all your guys' comments. I'll try to get to some of them here. Bearcat 513 West Coast is living in the Matrix. Couz says the Big Ten is waiting on Colorado and the Arizonas to leave first. Then they can't be blamed for destroying the PAC. That's what I think is happening too, Couz. Now, obviously, they might need to get this whole situation behind them with what's going on with their media deal. They probably need to get that worked out before they can expand anyway. And I think they will. So that, I don't think they'll be expanding, anytime in the very near future. It's probably not going to be a matter of weeks, maybe not even months. It'll probably be a few years. So Oregon and Washington are probably going to have to make a decision whether they stay with the PAC or go to the Big 12, assuming they have that option of going to the Big 12. Bo Stacker says, just getting here. What news about Colorado? Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman reported that Oklahoma. Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman reported that Colorado is looking to potentially jump to the Big 12, and then Genetics 56 on Twitter, who's a Big 10 person, saying that they've heard the same. And Genetics 56 has really been an anti-Big 12 person this whole time, And now they're even saying it. All right. Now we're getting now the show just got real, folks. The show just got real. The outlaw of college football is in the house. What's going on?
Woo!
That's right, baby.
The outlaw has come back to Couz's corner.
He has.
That's right. I know you like The Rock. I can keep his camera standing up. I'll be all right, right?
You will.
Got a little crooked on me today.
Everybody go check Outlaw out on his channel, Outlaw of College Football. You can also find him on Twitter at OCF Productions, as he likes to say. How'd you like that?
Productions.
You gotta stress the pro and the duction.
I do a little different every time. I sort of put a Triple H twist on it.
Yeah, he and I are both wrestling fans, or at least old wrestling fans. Let me put it. I'm not crazy about the new stuff.
Yeah, I'm sort of getting back into it a little bit, especially since I got, I think it's, what is it, Peacock? You can actually watch the pay-per-views for free on Peacock now.
Yes, you can. Well, yeah, I guess you could say it's free. You have to be subscribed to Peacock, though.
Yeah, in fact, I think Peacock's what, like $5.99 or $9.99 a month or something like that.
Something like that. Nick M, he says, Colorado announcing a move next week would coincide with what Flug, talking about Greg Flugauer, has been hinting at for a few weeks now. Yes, and guess there was some other guy on YouTube. He's bald. He's from West Virginia. He wears glasses. I think he even has a goatee. He's kind of a hillbilly. Kind of talks with an Appalachian accent. I think he even mentioned something about it on a couple shows too, that he was hearing the same thing. But yeah, there's a few people out there who've been saying that Colorado is going to be on the move. A lot of people thought it might happen a few weeks ago. Y'all remember there was supposed to have been a meeting, supposedly, about 2 weeks ago between Colorado and the Big 12. Wonder if that happened.
I do some Uber driving on the side, and sometimes I pick up some administrators from Bryant Hall out here on campus. And a few guys, when they're in the car talking the other day, and they said that Greg Sankey and the SEC is sort of something I think that you said, that now they're not really looking at footprints, they're looking more at maybe getting rivalries involved. And they mentioned the backyard brawl. So is it possible that the Big 12 is not out of the woods as far as having their teams rated by the SEC? I mean, could the SEC be going after West Virginia and Pittsburgh? I mean, because they're neighboring states, right?
They are. Yeah, matter of fact, Morgantown and Pitt are only 75 miles apart, something like that, 75 miles apart. 70, 75 miles, somewhere in that range.
Now, I know people are going to come in here and say, well, Pennsylvania's not in the Southeast. Well, I don't think Missouri's in the Southeast either, to be honest with you. I mean, if you count them being in the Confederacy back in the day, that's one thing. But geographically speaking, Missouri's not really Southeastern.
No, they're not. And footprints went out the window a long time ago, geographic footprints. Now, I know the SEC's kind of tried to keep to a degree, but I mean, even if you want to get technical, Texas ain't in the Southeast. They're in the South, right?
Southwest.
So, I mean, to me,
what the
Southeast
SEC is sort of doing is the SEC is sort of keeping the states connected. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just like if they went after West Virginia, they would technically be connected to Kentucky. And then if they went after Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania connected to West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
I think that's sort of smart on the SEC's part.
Yeah, if they get Pittsburgh and West Virginia, here's some advantages to that. You get almost the entire Pittsburgh media market, with the exception of maybe a few Penn State folks that are in the Pittsburgh market, I'm sure. You get at least 2/3 of it, if not more, maybe 3/4 of it. You get in my opinion, one of the top rivalries in college football, which is going to give you good ratings every year. You get two passionate fan bases who will watch their team's games, and you'll get, both teams will have good TV ratings.
And not to throw shade at my friend Jay, talking college football with JJ Kitchen. He's a Pitt fan, good friend of mine. But I think West Virginia brings even better ratings than what Pitt would bring from a TV standpoint. But Pitt brings a lot of other things. They bring, for the people who care about academics, Pitt is a very good academic school. They're AAU. And I think SEC is starting to pay a little bit more attention to that than they did in the past, honestly. I don't think it's number one on their priority list, but I do think it's something they care about.
Well, it'd be a way of taking a jab at the Big Ten too, because Big Ten gets a big old tent in their pants every time you talk about the AAU.
Mm-hmm.
In the Big Ten, they've been talking about wants to get in the Florida market, which is an SEC stronghold, sort of, except for UCF being over in the Big 12 now.
Uh-huh.
So maybe the SEC could be a little more proactive and go into one of the states that only the Big Ten's in by being in, like you said, in the Pennsylvania market.
Yeah, right.
They got Penn State right now, but Pittsburgh might be the answer to that.
There's been a lot of talk about, the Big Ten wanting to plant their flag in the Southeast.
That's what I'm saying.
Who's to say the SEC doesn't want to do the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. If they're going to come down there and do that, then maybe the SEC should do a tick for tack.
Right. Right.
Now,
Connor
really
Coles.
Really want to poke them in the eye, go out and try to get Notre Dame. That'd really piss them off.
Yeah. Connor Cole says, "Hey, Outlaw, can I get a War Eagle cheer, or is that asking too much?" You gonna make him say a cuss word on my channel?
I can't. I don't understand what you just said. What is it? No
War
oblate.
Eagle. I guess he wants you to say War Eagle. It's an Auburn thing.
No oblate. I don't understand what you're talking about, man. I don't understand that word.
He doesn't speak that language, Connor.
I don't speak Barner. I'll call them Barners. I call them barn monkeys sometimes. Is that all right? Barn monkey?
Tom Dean says Big Ten, UNC, and Virginia. That's very possible, Tom. I could see that actually happening.
I think the ACC falls apart. There's going to be a war over North Carolina, for sure. The Big Ten really wants North Carolina, and so does the SEC.
And Mr. Monkey says we're not. Yeah, the new happening is Barry Tremolo, the Oklahoman, reporting that Colorado is looking to go to the Big 12, according to his sources. And then Genetics 56 on Twitter, who's a big Big Ten person and who has been basically bashing the Pac-12 for saying this kind of stuff, is now saying that they could announce that they're leaving for the Big 12 as early as next week. So, and I don't know who Genetics 56 is. They claim to be well connected. We'll see. I think they use the Big 12 and non-phrasing occasionally, but I still like to follow what they put on Twitter because it's about realignment and I find it interesting. And I think they might actually be right about a few things, to be honest. But yeah,
the SEC got a little more. They already got plenty of teams that are good in football. What have they got a little more proactive as far as being varied across the board in the Big Two and the two biggest money-making sports? And they went out and got your team, West Virginia, who's good in basketball, and got Kansas, who's a blue blood in basketball. They had Kansas, the SEC with Kentucky. That'd be pretty nice for basketball.
Oh, I think it'd be. West Virginia. There's no reason West Virginia and Kentucky couldn't be big rivals, man. The Hatfield. You could call it the Hatfield-McCoy Trophy. And
if they could get North Carolina too, they would have the market cornered on blue bloods in basketball. They'd have Kansas, Kentucky, and North Carolina.
Yeah, it'd be. Look, I would love to have our rivalry games. That's the only thing missing. I like the Big 12. Obviously, being a geographic outlier kind of sucks, but every other aspect of the Big 12 I like. I think we fit in well culturally. I like the fan bases. Everybody's passionate.
If it implodes, if the ACC implodes, you may get your natural rivalries back. Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech would probably come over to the Big 12 at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. Kind of, I hate to say I don't want to see a conference. I hate to say I hope a conference implodes, but whatever ends up happening at the end of the day, I hope West Virginia ends up staying. Number one, I hope we stay in a power conference, whatever that ends up being, whether it's 2, 4, 3, whatever. And 2, I hope we get games with some of our natural rivals every year, and they're not only every year, but they're in conference. I think being in conference makes them mean even more.
I think it's like you said earlier on, you said that it's only going to take one. All it's going to take is that one team from the Pac-12 to make the move. And it's going to be a huge domino effect, I think, like you said.
Yeah.
At that point, if the 4 corner schools end up leaving and Oregon and Washington go to the Big 10, I mean, wouldn't the Pac-12 lose their status as a Power 5 conference at that point?
Well, I mean, they could. It would have to be voted on by, I think, the other conferences or maybe the NCAA. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but somebody would have to vote them out.
I mean, because at that point, what they would have to do is be the Mountain West with a Pac-12 mask on.
Right. That's what a lot of people are saying. But, to play devil's advocate, people were saying the same thing about the Big 12 about a year and a half ago. So.
Yeah, but the difference is the Pac-12's they're not being proactive like Brett Yormark. I mean, he was being proactive. He went out and immediately got 4 teams. They ain't doing anything. They're not trying to add him, but they're just going to add San Diego State and SMU. What happened to that, man? I mean, is that still going to happen?
Yeah. Joey says, we are 50 subs away from 1,000 on WVU channel with Mark Rogers. Please take 1 minute. By the way, he did an interview with Neil Brown the other day, Mark did, on his main channel, which I'm going to be reacting to on tomorrow's episode. But yeah, go support the West Virginia channel if you can. Dale Wolfley, former West Virginia player, does a lot of stuff over there. Some pretty interesting stuff. He breaks down film, interviews some players, stuff like that. What's up, Shane? Thanks for hopping on, man. Just a reminder, everybody, I've got on
the mic went out.
It keeps doing that to me, man. I'm having all kinds of problems tonight. But anyway, I got like 180 people in the chat. There's no way for me to see everybody's comments. If you want to make sure I see it, hit the $sign where it says say something, leave a comment there. It's what they call super chat. It donates money to the channel, which helps me out, supports what I'm doing here, helps keep the lights on, as they say. And at the same time, it will get your comment highlighted, and or be sure to see it highlighted. And those supersede the other chats, the other comments. Sergeant Pickles, man, I haven't seen you in a while. What's up, man? Long time no see. He says we are going to post that video on the WVU channel. Yeah. Then maybe I shouldn't promote it yet, Joey, because I want to get them watching it on the WVU channel instead of the main one. But no, it's all good. It was a good interview. And Neil Brown, I thought there were some hot takes in there. A lot of people may not pick up on. Mark didn't. I don't know if Mark did either because he didn't ask any follow-up questions. But I did because that's the kind of stuff I listen for. I'm always listening for content ideas when I'm listening to those kind of videos. But
I get a lot of my ideas from some of the places that you do as well. 365 Sports, I really like those guys as well.
Starry says Neil Brown was a terrible OC at Tech. West Virginia should have dumped him last year. That's what most of our fans think. Alan Walker, thanks for the $5 super chat, my friend. Thank you, man. I didn't see a comment with it, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the $5 donation. If you meant to leave a comment and you just somehow weren't able to leave one, and I'll try to find it.
Yeah, I remember when I first started doing this, and I was trying to send a super chat. I accidentally sent it without my message one time.
I've done it too.
People have been known to do it when they first start out.
Yeah, I've done it. I've actually done it a couple times, honestly. Connor Cole, thanks for the $9.99 super chat, my man. He says, if y'all haven't seen Cincy, he's building a new $135 million indoor facility. It looks amazing, and it's switching back to Nike and Jordan brands. Cincy is doing what it needs to step up to the new conference. That's good. Good to hear, but not good to hear as a West Virginia fan, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm glad to see Cincinnati. They want to do what it takes to compete in Power 5, and that's why, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, having nice facilities is part of it. I mean, West Virginia did the same thing. Matter of fact, I'll touch on it in my video tomorrow. West Virginia did the same thing 2 years ago. They upgraded their facilities. So
this is the first time that Ohio State's going to have to compete. Ohio State's going to actually have another Power 5 team in their state for the first time in 100 years.
I had never thought about it that way, but you're right. You're right. They will.
They probably don't like Brett Yormack too much.
Probably not. Hero 75, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, I don't know if my friend is crazy or brilliant. His idea is that Big Ten goes to Amazon to pay for a team or two buyout the ACC rights up front in return for a Friday night game for a couple of years.
I'm going to have to read that again.
I don't know if my friend is crazy. Big Ten goes to Amazon to pay for a team or two buyout of the ACC rights in return for a Friday night game. Okay, I see what you're saying. So to help get a couple teams from the ACC to the Big Ten, Amazon buys them out. And then in return, Amazon gets the games.
No, Amazon's going to have an issue with ESPN because ESPN's got the contract on the ACC.
Yeah, that would be a legal mess.
ESPN's not going to let that shit go.
No. They signed that 14-year deal for a reason, or whatever.
Yeah, ESPN.
I guess it was a 20-year deal at the time.
ESPN's in bed with the SEC big time. So if that conference does go by the wayside, then the SEC's probably going to get first dibs.
But I'll tell you what I do like
about that comment. There's my mic again.
It's working now.
I'll tell you what I do like about that comment, Hero, is it's outside the box. It's different. And it's, it's something to think about. And in today's world, I don't think anything's out of the question. And I'll be honest with you, that sounds like something our late great friend Golden Blue Dude would come up with, to be honest, for a show. I like it. Sergeant Pickles said, huh?
What do you call it? He called it the speculation zone.
That's right. Sergeant Pickles says the overwhelming favorite has to be things hold pat for a few years. Well, Sergeant Pickles, I think that may have changed today, my friend. Barry Trimble of the Oklahoman is saying that Colorado is looking to get back into the Big 12. And then you've got the situation with Washington State saying that their conference revenue is going to take a massive hit from where it is now, which is around 20-some million a year. Less than 25 million a year is what they're making right now. And it's going to be less than that. Now, how many Pac-12 teams are going to agree to that deal, especially if there's a lot of streaming involved?
Colorado's going to take the lead of their coach, and they're going to dip out on the Pac-12 like Deion did Jackson State and HBCUs, because that's what con time does, and that's what Colorado's going to do.
Well, two reasons I like the idea of Colorado coming to the Big 12. Number one, it'll give me a crap load of stuff to talk about on my channel. Okay, let's be real about it. Okay?
You're right about that. Now you get Colorado, and you'll get con time.
And two, if it makes our conference stronger and helps us solidify ourselves for the future, I'm not real crazy about West Virginia having to play another team out west. But if it helps the conference out, in return, it should help us out too. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
People automatically assume that if they get those two, that the other two are going to follow. But what if they just got Colorado and Arizona and then, played a little bit of a waiting game on to see what happened with the ACC? Hopefully get Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Hey, check his comment out. Check his comment out, Outlaw. I like it. It says, Mr. Monkey says, what struck me about Schultz's letter is that AD budget, the athletic department budget, is its own business. Washington State can't reach into its academic wallet to pay off the athletic department debt. It's as if athletics are separate from academics.
Yep. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's like, athletics and academics are separate when it's convenient for the academics, But if the academic side of the school needs some money from the athletic department, they're all about getting some money from the athletic department. Because that happens here at Alabama all the time. The football team has its own bank account. But they take that money sometimes and they help out other programs and they help out the academic side.
Larry Pilgrim says, at Sergeant Pickles, if Utah, Washington, and Oregon stay, the Pac will be fine. Larry, I actually do think the Pac will stay. I do think the Pac-12 will be a conference. I don't think the conference is going to die necessarily. I just think you're going to lose some teams. I think you're going to lose Colorado first. I think Arizona will probably follow, and maybe even Arizona State. I think there's less of an appetite from Arizona State's decision makers to do it. I think they would almost have to be forced to do it. But I think Colorado and Arizona. I don't think they want to go. I think they feel like they need to go because they're afraid of losing relevance in college athletics. David Lindgren, thank you for the 1999 super chat, my friend. I don't see a comment there. If you want to leave it, okay. He says, really enjoy your show, Couz, from an Iowa State fan. Thank you, David. I haven't heard you before, man. I really appreciate the support.
How about them Cyclones?
Funny story here. Oh, let me get to my man Greg Flugar real quick. College football's picked around the corner with Greg Flugar. Start warming up those pipes. Couz might be singing Colorado Mountain High real soon. Hey, here's a connection. All right, John Denver. Every year that West Virginia and Texas Tech plays, we talk trash to each other about because John Denver is a Texas Tech graduate, but he's saying, take me home, country roads, right? So both schools try to claim John Denver. So if you add Colorado to the mix, you got 3 schools in the Big 12 that could claim John Denver.
Damn. It's almost as bad as Alabama and Oklahoma trying to claim Jalen Hurts.
Oh, man, that's funny. The Cyclone. I was going to tell the story about the Cycloneers. Outlaw, you probably don't know this story, and some people in the chat may not know it, but West Virginia doesn't have a women's softball team. I think we're the only team in the Big 12 that don't have one. Okay. Iowa State does not have a men's baseball team. They're the only team that doesn't have that. Well, at some point or another, West Virginia adopted Iowa State as their favorite softball team. And there was some stuff on Twitter about it. Well, earlier this season, the Iowa State women's softball team were playing a game in the same state as the West Virginia men's baseball team was. So they went to the game. The Iowa State women's softball team went and to cheer for West Virginia's baseball team in a game this year.
That's crazy.
And posted on Twitter, sung country roads and everything. I mean, it was because West Virginia won the game, so they got on their bus and sang country roads. It was really cool. And so now it has birthed the Cycloneers. And they're shirts and everything now. And the West Virginia baseball team signed a jersey and mailed it to the Iowa State softball team.
That's odd how that's flip-flopped between the two universities. It's really odd. I didn't know Iowa State didn't have a baseball team. You'd think that everybody would have a baseball team.
Yeah, it's really cool, actually.
Because baseball is supposed to be America's pastime, right?
Yep.
Although I will admit, I'm not a huge baseball fan.
I'm trying to keep up with it because West Virginia is doing really good this year. They laid an egg in the last regular season series, unfortunately, but they did get a share of the Big 12 title for the first time in school history. So
I can stomach college baseball. Omaha is real unique. It's, that sudden elimination kind of thing, except you get, double elimination in Omaha. But as far as Major League Baseball, man, I really can't get into it like I used to. I mean, back when I was younger, I liked it, but I really don't like it now.
Same here. I used to be a diehard baseball. I used to sit and watch about every game, every Atlanta game. I was a big Atlanta, and I'm still a Braves fan. The Braves are still my team. You a Baltimore Orioles fan?
Yep.
Really?
I used to be a big Cal Ripken guy.
Okay. I figured you would be a Atlanta fan since you live in Alabama.
And I hate the Braves.
Oh, come on, man. Tomahawk chop. Oh.
You know, the Braves stole that from Deion Sanders in Florida State, right?
Oh, bull crap.
They stole it from Florida State, man.
The Braves are so good, Morgan Wallen wrote a song about them. The 98 Braves.
Well, they got a lot of Braves fans around here. And they
About
used
the
to have
year.
a lot of Braves fans in Florida because, you know, back in the day, Florida didn't have a baseball team. So
Right.
the Braves, man, they had the market corner down here in the Southeast.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, though, Chipper Jones, John Smoltz, Greg Maddox, Andrew Jones, Tommy Glavine, those guys. That was
Yeah.
my team, man.
Well, I sort of followed them back in the 80s when they had Dale Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were really bad then. So
When I was a young kid, I was an Oakland Athletics fan because I liked Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire.
I just
And Ricky
fixed to
Henderson.
say,
Ricky Henderson was my favorite player, actually.
I just fixed to say I ain't really ever just been a Orioles fan. I just like their logo and stuff. And I like Cal Ripken.
Right.
But when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, I liked the New York Yankees because
Okay.
I like Billy Martin. I don't know if you know who Billy Martin is.
Vaguely.
But he was like George Steinbrenner fired him like 4 or 5 times and brought him back. The guy used to haul ass out there and go out there and start kicking dirt on him up.
I've seen those videos of him.
It had me laughing, man.
Talking college football, JJ Kitchen. He's guys, go check his channel out if you want to hear about Pitt football, ACC stuff. He's one of your guys. He says Granite Rice is airtight. Highly doubt anyone leaves till 5 to 6 years down the road. Talking about the ACC. Too much money. 420 million.
I always say something's airtight, and then it's got a hole in it somewhere.
420 to 720 million is too much to play around with, plus legal fees. ACC is stuck. Pac-12 is falling.
Was Kitchens in here when we were talking about the SEC wanting the rivalry of the backyard brawl?
I'm not sure if he was or not, honestly.
I'd like to get his take on that. What would he think about Pittsburgh possibly being in the SEC?
Yeah. What would you think about that, JJ, if you're still listening? Outlaw said he heard some people talking about the SEC potentially looking to add West Virginia and Pitt to the conference so they could get the backyard brawl rivalry in the league. And it would also get them into a new market, too, the Pittsburgh market.
The SEC is real big on rivalries. They love that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the networks want, too. The networks are they're looking for rivalries and big games, too.
Because they got Georgia and Auburn, which is called the oldest rivalry in the South. And Alabama, Tennessee is called the third Saturday in October. And you have the Iron Bowl. Then the Egg Bowl with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. They got names for all of them.
Tom Dean says, any update on ETA for a PAC media deal? Nope. Not looking good. Oh, and did y'all see the
You there?
I might keep going in and out on me. I don't know what's going on with it.
See, what's going to happen is the Pac-12 is going to end up being a Netflix special. That's what they're going to be, man. It's just, it just don't look good for them, man, at all. That Larry Scott guy before this guy here, what's his name again? The commissioner out there?
George Kliavkoff, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, Kliavkoff. Larry Scott, man, he made a big mess out there, man. I don't think Kliavkoff is going to be able to recover from it.
JJ says it would be incredible to join the SEC. Greg Sankey is the best commissioner in America. Bring us in. The backyard brawl would be great, and that schedule would be great. 2 great brands and new markets.
What I'm talking about. Plus, I ain't never been to Pittsburgh, man. I'd love to go on a road game, Alabama versus Pitt. It's never happened.
Well, I experienced it for the first time last year, and I got to admit it was pretty fun. Even though we lost the game, I had a great time. Met some great fans, Pitt fans a lot. And, there were some people talking trash, but it was mostly all in fun. And it was just a great experience. And the food was good too.
Yeah. That Neal should have went for it on 4th down, and that game would have been over.
Oh, no doubt about it.
West
No, I
Virginia
don't know if the
wouldn't
game would have
win.
been over, but it would have sealed it probably.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't as, and the thing is, Outlaw, it wasn't even 4th and 1. It was 4th and literally about an inch.
That's what I'm saying. And I say I'm an Alabama fan, so I'm not saying this as a West Virginia guy. I'm saying this as an unbiased fan. I watched the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, when he done that, I was like, Pittsburgh's gonna win this game.
And C.J. Donaldson had been running the ball great all night long, man.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be different if your running ground was your running game was stagnant or something, but your running game was on point.
Oh, and when he went for it and didn't get it, it was almost like you knew right that moment we were going to lose the game. Like you could almost feel the air get sucked out of the West Virginia fan base when that happened. I mean, it was you know how it is. You've watched enough sports, you know, you can kind of feel the momentum shift in a game. That's when it happened.
I was watching and I was like, man, that right there is going to be the play of the game. Him not going for it.
Yeah, JJ says he has to grow balls and trust his players. You know, Scotty B, I haven't even seen that yet. I've got to go. I've been meaning to watch that interview with Tom Glavine. I just haven't yet, man. I've been so busy trying to keep up with all this college football stuff. There's been some things I've missed along the way, and that was one of them. Yeah, Alan, Washington State's having problems now, and I'm sure Oregon State probably is too. Larry Scott left that conference in a freaking mess, man. And don't even forget, they owe like $10 million from because of the moving their studio, the Pac-12 network studio out of San Francisco cost them money.
Well, not only that, but don't they owe Comcast some money?
Yeah, $50 million.
And them and the Big Ten both, man. The Big Ten owes Fox because Kevin Warren didn't seal the deal when he left, man. He got a lot of loose ends left. And I heard it was like $25 million per team or something they owe Fox or something like that.
Yeah. But the Big Ten's situation, I don't think is that big of. I mean, I think they'll get it ironed out. I don't think it's a deal. You know, it might cost them a little bit of money, but my God, they're already making $1 billion. What's a few million?
I know. I just like to aggravate them, man.
Oh, I know, but that was when I heard about that story. I thought that. I mean, it's a mess, yeah, but it ain't like they're going to be okay. I just can't figure out why is the Big Ten worth so friggin' much.
Now, I've been wondering that myself.
They've basically got 3-4 good teams in the entire conference. You've got Ohio State, who, yes, is a huge national brand. I get that. Ohio State's valuable. You've got Michigan, yes. You've got Penn State, who's good again. But past that, who you got? Think about it. I mean, Michigan State's hit or miss.
There are a lot of blah programs to me. A lot of it's just, to me, it's very boring football. I've tried watching Big Ten games. It's hard for me.
I don't understand why. I guess it's the markets they're in, maybe. I don't know.
I tell you what, if Iowa could ever get an offense, they would be national champions because that defense they had last year, couldn't nobody score on it. It's just they couldn't score on anybody. So.
Oh, yeah, Greg.
They almost lost to, what was it, South Dakota State? It was like ended up 6-5 or something.
Yeah.
Like a baseball game.
So I forgot to mention Greg Pflugar's Golden Gophers. He said Golden Gophers hockey. And you know what? I bet hockey is valuable in the Big Ten. But I'm not a hockey fan, so I don't keep track of it. But I know Greg is a big hockey guy.
Alabama's got a club team. I looked at some of their scores, man. It's just like astronomical. One of the games was like 17-4.
Yeah.
It's like hockey. It's 17-4.
Right. Sergeant Pickles says, may not be sexy names, but Washington State and Oregon State would be top half of the Big 12.
Nope.
I don't know about top half. They'd be competitive, no doubt about it. I actually think Washington State and Oregon State would fit well in the Big 12 as far as culturally and everything, but they don't bring enough value as brands, in my opinion, to make the deal.
Everybody on Oregon State's bandwagon because they won 10 games last year.
they're not going to raise the value of the TV deal.
Oregon
is what I'm
State's
getting
a
at.
hit or miss. It's a hit or miss program. One year they'll win 9 or 10 games, and next year they won't win but 3 games. So I wouldn't trust Oregon State. That's just me though.
Yeah. Alan Walker says it's the TV markets. Big Ten is the number one TV market with the Rutgers of Maryland. And, they're in Chicago. They're in New York. Now they're in L.A.
Yep, that's true.
They've got 3 of the biggest markets in the country right there.
Now they go get Miami. They'll be set all the way across the board, right?
And I'm sure Baltimore's probably a big market. Washington, D.C. is obviously a big market. But Washington, D.C., there's not really one team that can claim that market because you've got Virginia Tech has a big following there. I'm sure Virginia probably does. I'm sure Maryland does. West Virginia even has a large following in the D.C. market. So
D.C. market used to be really big on Georgetown basketball too.
yeah,
they had Patrick Ewing and all them guys.
yep. I can be convinced to take Washington State or Oregon State over Utah these days.
What?
Mr. Monkey says, well, it's because of the Utah fans, some of them. Not all of them, but some of them.
I feel him on that now.
It's gotten so bad that we don't even want Utah in our conference.
Well, Utah made some comments about the Big 12, so I'm like, y'all do realize the Pac-12 might be about to implode. You might want to be nice to the Big 12.
What you said about Oregon State applies to a lot of Big 12 teams too, up and down, inconsistent year to year. And I agree. Like I said, Sergeant Pickles, I actually don't think they would be bad additions from a competitive standpoint. It's just it's from a market value and a TV value standpoint. They're not going to increase. It would be 2 more teams to pay. Basically, you're making the pie smaller, or the pie's not getting any bigger, but you're bringing more people in. See what I mean? So you got to share the pie with more people, and it would probably decrease the payout. At least I
would actually prefer San Diego State before I would Oregon State or Washington State.
But I.
Mike's out.
Yeah, I'm back. I say that though. I think if the Big 12 does have that pro rata clause that allows them to add Power 5 schools, so you never know. Maybe Washington State and Oregon State does have a shot to get in. Who knows?
What if they were to?
And just anybody. Does
the Big 12 have something now in place that with their contract, are they not allowed to add any more G5 schools?
The way it's written is ESPN is willing to pay their piece of the deal, which is about 60% of it. Actually, about 2/3 of it, basically. ESPN owns 2/3 of the deal. They will pay their share for any Power 5 edition, but not any Group of 5 edition. Fox hasn't agreed to any pro rata
at all.
Well, I was just saying, instead of taking the 4 corner schools, you could take 3 of the 4 corners and then add San Diego State with them.
And that's actually been mentioned as a possibility, to be honest.
San Diego will be a great market to get into. And I hear they got them a new stadium too.
Yeah, they did. Snapdragon Stadium. It's really nice. Larry Pilgrim says, as rude and insulting as I have seen on YouTube towards Utah, I am not sure I would enjoy the Big 12. I don't do Twitter, so I have no clue where the Utah insulting is coming from. Well, it's there, Larry. Trust me.
Well, Utah has been saying that they don't want to be in the Big 12. They've made little alluding comments.
Oh, it's all over the place. I went on some Utah message boards, 24/7 message boards, and dude, they are.
Well, they act like their academics are so much higher than the Big 12, but it was just 13 short years ago that they were in the Mountain West. So,
guess what I found out? Their research ranking has not improved since being in the Pac-12. You know how they always talk about all this money spent on research and all this other garbage?
I'm just saying that, I don't have nothing against Utah. I'm just saying that they shouldn't have took shots at the Big 12, not knowing whether the Pac-12 is stable. You know what I mean? because they might need the Big 12.
But let's be honest, though, just to take our pride out of the way and our opinions out of the way, Utah would be a good addition.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They'd be
As far
good
as on the field, they would be.
They just got to get over themselves a little bit. They're just a little.
Yeah.
Little,
looking at it if you look at it from a holistic perspective, Utah would be a great addition, man. You're getting a really good brand, a really good team.
right.
You get a holy war rivalry in the conference. That would be awesome to have that rivalry in the Big 12.
Well, I don't think Utah wants that rivalry anymore for some reason. I mean, I think they had some issues with BYU here recently.
Greg Flugar says Nebraska's research dollars have not improved much since joining Big Ten either. See, that's what I'm telling you. I think that's overrated.
It is.
And I've seen numbers to prove it as far as Utah and Colorado go, and I haven't seen numbers on anybody else. My friend Jeff Fuller, who was on my show a few weeks ago, actually ran the numbers, and Utah had a much greater increase in research funding when they went from what conference were they in before they went to the Mountain West? I can't remember. Huh?
They were in the WAC at one time.
When they went from WAC to the Mountain West, their research funding skyrocketed. But when they went from the from the Mountain West to the PAC, it didn't change much.
No.
So I said, well, maybe the Mountain West is a better research conference than the Pac-12.
We're actually forgetting two teams, Stanford and California.
Are we forgetting them, or does nobody care?
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
They're gonna have to join. They're gonna be the new West wing of the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Or they might just go independent.
Yep. Guys, be sure to hit the like button on here if you don't mind. There's
148 of you on here. So go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't yet. It helps get the video out to more people. And even if you're watching it after the live stream's over, still like it. It still helps the algorithm, regardless when you do it. Larry Pilgrim says, as far as I know, Utah did $638 million in last reported year, which was their highest. Yeah, but they didn't. The numbers I saw, it was looking at a percentage. Like they went up like 40-some% in research spending from the WAC to the Mountain West, and they've only went up like 5, 6, or 7% since joining the PAC, something like that. And that's all based off memory, but that's how big of a difference it was. Yeah,
It really don't matter. I mean, it's irrelevant when it comes to athletics. This is about athletics, right? I mean,
yeah, supposed to be.
They want to make it about academics when it's convenient.
Yeah, and somebody brought it to my attention, and I don't remember who it was, that Kansas, even though they're in the Big 12, they do research with schools outside of the Big 12. So you don't necessarily have to be in the same conference as somebody to work with them on academic matters.
Right.
You can do it anyway. Now, does it get easier if you're in the same conference? Probably. But it doesn't mean it's a deal breaker.
I just think the whole AAU thing's just overrated, man. It aggravates me a little bit.
Larry, I've got to give the credit to other people, man. I'm just repeating some other information I've seen from some other folks that have actually compiled the data. I can't really take credit for the research. I just report what I see from sources that I feel are legit. What does Outlaw and Couz think about addition of UConn? I apologize if we haven't discussed that actually, and I do want to get Outlaw's opinion on that. Great idea, Greg. Outlaw, what do you think about the Big 12 adding UConn potentially?
Well, it would definitely solidify y'all as the premier basketball league. If you can't be the premier football league, college basketball is the second highest money-making sport in collegiate athletics. So that would be an excellent addition as far as cornering the market on basketball.
Yeah.
And UConn, people don't realize this, back in the day when they were in Division I AA, they were actually a powerhouse in football. And they were pretty good. So they can win in football. They just got to have the right person in there.
It's exactly how, and I think Jim Moore can win. I think he's a good coach. I really do.
I do.
I mean, he got him into a bowl game in his very first year, and they were a dumpster fire. I mean, they were an absolute dumpster fire. In my opinion, what he did at UConn is almost as impressive as what Lance Leipold did at Kansas. It just doesn't get talked about as much because they're not in a power conference.
Right. Sort of like what Bill Clark did at UAB in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the research thing, R. Webb says Arizona and Oklahoma State just announced a research agreement about 3 months ago. See? R. Webb you heard it here, guys. R. Webb just announced Arizona to the Big 12. No, I'm kidding. So back to the UConn thing. I second Outlaw's opinion on that. I do think UConn will be.
I do think UConn will be a great addition to the conference, and I've been saying it for months. I see nothing. Everybody wants to talk about, well, they're bad in football. Kansas was bad in football for decades.
Yeah.
Were they not a good member of the conference?
Kansas State used to be the worst team in college football, percentage-wise, in every division until Bill Snyder came on the scene in the 1990s.
Yep.
People don't realize that. I mean, they had like a 22%, 27% winning percentage.
And Iowa State wasn't much better. Yeah, they were terrible too.
Yeah, and then I think his name was Dan McCarney, came in and he sort of put some life into Iowa State. He didn't sustain it, but he got them started.
Right. And Matt Campbell's kind of taking them to another level. And they still have yet to win 10 games in a season.
I remember that quarterback they had named Seneca Wallace in the late 90s. He was pretty good.
Yep.
We had to play him in a bowl game down there in Independence Bowl, and they almost beat our ass.
Mr. Monkey says, will the Big 12 add any basketball-only schools? I don't see them doing that now. I know they were kicking the tires on Gonzaga, even talking to Gonzaga. I think it appears that Gonzaga that whole thing might have died down. I'm not sure if there's mutual interest there anymore. For whatever reason, I'm not saying it's dead, and I don't really have any inside information just based on what I'm hearing from others. Matter of fact, Greg Flugar talked about it on his show that Gonzaga is basically, out of the picture, at least for now. Doesn't mean they can't come back in.
Well, I mean, if you're going to add a school based on basketball prowess and maybe a school that doesn't have a football program, everybody keeps talking about Gonzaga, but what about Villanova?
As far as basketball only?
Villanova?
Yeah.
Basketball only for the Big 12?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of bringing in basketball-only schools, honestly. I don't really see the value in that.
I think Villanova's got a division FCS team, right?
They do, yeah.
So they might be able to bump them up Division One. Fun fact, Alabama's never beat Villanova in football. Played them one time back in like 1950-something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Villanova beat us. So
I actually ought to do a video on this, but West Virginia could probably claim a national championship if they wanted to. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah?
1922. They won the first bowl game. I think they won the first bowl game in history or something. I have to go back and relook at the stuff, but
I mean,
for whatever reason,
right?
They went undefeated and won a bowl game. And I think we're either one or tied for number one in the country or whatever, or one of only two undefeated teams or something. I don't remember all the details, but for some reason, West Virginia University does not even claim, they don't even acknowledge that season for some reason. I don't know why.
I think a lot of teams acknowledge those championships based on media outlets at the time that were naming national champions and that kind of stuff. Because I know a lot of people considered the Rose Bowl back then, because the Rose Bowl was the only bowl they had. and they considered the Rose Bowl like the de facto BCS national championship game up till 1936, when the AP poll was invented.
Yeah.
That's where Alabama claims some of theirs. They claim it through the Rose Bowl wins.
Right. See, that's the one bowl West Virginia hasn't won. The one major bowl is the Rose. We've never played in it because it's always been tied into conference
Yeah.
we're not in.
After the 1940s, them in the Pac-12 took their ball and went home. They didn't want to play nobody because they're afraid to get their ass whooped.
Yeah, West Virginia won all. They won the Orange, the Sugar, and the Fiesta Bowl, but never. So that back from the BCS era, that's the only BCS bowl they didn't win.
Alabama was like 6-1, 6-1-1, or 5-1-1 in the Rose Bowl. And then in 1946 or 47 or something like that, they tied it up with 2 conferences. And then everybody else started doing that. It was like a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep harping on the fact that the Rose Bowl probably cost us a playoff for about 40 or 50 years. We probably had a playoff by the 1970s if it hadn't been for them.
Right. Well, guys,
we've been to the 12-team plateau.
Yeah. I'm in a hotel room and it's 11:08, so I'm probably going to have to shut this puppy down so I don't wake everybody up.
All right.
But I appreciate everybody jumping on here tonight. It was a really busy one. It was a good one. I apologize for all of you who were waiting on me early on, and I was 20 minutes late getting on here. Hopefully you understand. I'll try not to ever do that again. But Outlaw, did you catch the beginning?
I didn't. I actually saw it, and it's like, damn, I missed it. And I got on there, and you hadn't started yet. I was like, happy as hell.
Yeah. I had a chance to have dinner with a cousin of mine that I haven't seen in years, man. And we weren't done by 9:30, and I didn't want to cut the meeting. I mean, he was the best man at my wedding. So we go back a long way, and I felt like that was, I felt like that was important to catch up with him. And so anyway, I didn't know. I figured we would be finished by 9:30. But anyway, thanks everybody for their patience. Thanks for hopping on. Outlaw, thanks to him for coming on. Everybody, please go check his channel out, Outlaw of College Football on YouTube. Interact with him on Twitter at OCF Productions. He's an entertaining show. Likes to make fun of Lincoln Riley and USC a lot.
Yeah. I probably done a video today that might get me a strike on my account. I did one about, the transgender men invading women's sports.
I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. I'm going to have to watch that one later. But anyway, I appreciate everybody, and everybody have a good night.
All right, brother. Take care.
Keep country roads.